Greetings, and welcome to the Bowling Green First United Methodist Church. We hope that you enjoy what you're about to see, and you can find us on the corner of Broadway and Church Streets at 11 o'clock on Sunday mornings. Or you can find us at bgmethodist.org and on Facebook at Bowling Green First United Methodist Church.
So I'm going to start by asking y'all didn't know you were going to be tested this morning, did you? I'm going to ask you just a few questions, and that one of those questions is, how many of you have actually read Habakkuk? Yeah, okay, probably not many. No, we got a little back there. Okay, so let me ask that one. Now, aside from those who I know where it is, how many of you could tell me where in the Bible Habakkuk could be found? Yeah, the Old Testament. Like Chris said, he's one of the 12 minor prophets. And then one more question. How many of you think, when you saw that in the bulletin, that it was Habakkuk, that really what I had done was I just got confused about Ben & Jerry's newest ice cream flavor? You can't say it says Habachunk. Yeah, and, I think it might be kind of tasty to have some of that. But one other thing to remember with Habakkuk, to help you remember that, it's 1 B and 3 Ks. That's an odd combination of letters to have in any word, I know, but that's how you can remember where everything goes. But we're looking at Habakkuk for an important reason, because we're going to spend some time there, because out of most of the books of the Old Testament, Habakkuk is one of the ones that most clearly deals with the things that we face. It's not that Habakkuk is dealing with the same problems that we face per se, but he's dealing with kind of that whole situation and how do you get through to the other side of something. When you're staring out at something and it's kind of a challenge that you're looking at, you aren't sure what's going to happen to get to the other side of it. And you go back and take a look at this guy. I mean, this is a great place to look at, right? To have that nice view over the canyon like that. There are about 3 different questions that come to mind for him as I'm looking at him. One is, he's probably thinking to himself, look at what I did. I made it all the way up there. That's good. The second question, though, is he's looking out and remembering that my car is parked on the other side of that canyon. Now, how do I get back down? Because then I got to get back down to get over there. But the third one of this might be, how lucky am I that I found this scenic overlook and I could park my car right next to this and my buddy could take a picture of me looking really cool sitting out over here. I mean, I can see a parking spot right down over here somewhere. That's not like something I would do. So I'm like, hey, this looks great. And make sure you frame this shot right so that you only see me and it looks like I've done something cool. I don't have to, but hey, it looks good anyway. That's the tempting place to be, is to find that really cool thing so it looks like you've done something really impressive, but it doesn't have to be. Now, I wish that were the way the story was going to go, but that's not what Habakkuk was dealing with. That's not what we deal with. We like our appearances, but it's not the appearances that we live through. It's the hard times that we live through. Because Habakkuk he's looking at this there. Habakkuk is in the southern kingdom of Judah. This is the time when Israel had divided north to south, and the northern kingdom kept the name in the separation. So they were Israel, but they have since been conquered by the Assyrians, so they're no more. And it's just this little kingdom of Judah that is left, and they have seen their high point, and now they're looking out at a changing world around them. And Habakkuk is a prophet in this time, and he is worried. He is concerned. He's looking out at a world around him where things don't make sense, where you've got this next big power that is trying to make their way into their area, and so they're concerned about what's going to happen next. And you've got this great big nation that is kind of pushing their way in. He's got other sorts of worries about the world around him. And then he stops and he looks back at his own backyard and says, we've got our own troubles here at home, where we just aren't doing things right. We've got our own things that we're doing wrong. And he's staring at this going, well, what do I do now? What do I do now? Sounds familiar, doesn't it? We look out and we can see some of the same things. We look out and we say we're worried about what other nations are doing around us. And what does that mean for us? And what is that going to do to us or for us or about us? Or what, we have that concern. We look out at a world that has war and violence and poverty, and where folks are struggling just to meet some of those basic needs of having clean water and good sanitation, much less anything else. I can't even get those basic things. And we look and we say, that's hard. What do we do? And then we take another step back and we look at our own lives and we say, but this is hard for us too. Because we, at some points along the way, we all have lost someone that we love, and so we know that's a struggle. We know that we have struggles with our health and trying to recover or trying just to adapt to something new that's going to kind of change the way that we have to live our lives. It could be things related to not just to our health, but it could be to jobs and to family, to kids and spouses and partners. It could be things related to other things going on around us. It could be any number of things that we are staring down at, knowing that we've got to deal with it. That life is not going to be real easy for a while. That you all know how this goes, right? Life is good for a while, but sometimes we hit those places where it kind of takes a big dip. It may look a little bit like that canyon that we've got to go through, and we know that we can't get around it. We can try, and in fact, kind of Habakkuk kind of hints at and talks about, that there are some things that we can do. We can try to deny God, or we can try to deny reality, or our choice is to persevere. Because we know that we've got to go through it. Habakkuk, at the start of this, we start in verse 2 and verse 4, and Habakkuk he's kind of laying this out there for us. That's what I love about Habakkuk. He kind of follows the same format that Job does, but he squishes it down into about a tenth of the size. Habakkuk is only 3 chapters long. That's all there is to it, so it's real short to read, but takes some working, because Habakkuk, as it goes, Habakkuk makes his complaint, and God responds. Habakkuk makes his complaint, and then God responds. And that's part of what they're going through. And so Habakkuk lifts out of this, and he says to God, he says, Lord, how long will I call for help and you not listen? I cry out to you violence, but you don't deliver us. And then in verse 4, the instruction is ineffective. Justice does not endure because the wicked surround the righteous. Justice becomes warped. In so many ways, Habakkuk is dealing with and doing just what we do. The first 2 responses deny the way that the world is around us. These first 2 responses, to deny God and to deny reality, means that a lot of times what we end up doing, we end up trying to rely just on ourselves to get us through those hard times, those hard places when we come up. And especially when we realize that maybe we've got to go through this, and we've got to go through that hard place, but we get in trouble when we start to rely on ourselves. And that's where God responds to Habakkuk. Because Habakkuk doesn't know what to do. He knows that he's not real happy with God right now, but he's not sure what to do. And so he says all this, he lays this out there, and God responds, and God says to Habakkuk, he says, it's just going to be harder. And this is not the response that you want, right? When you're talking to God, you're laying all that out there, you want God to say, here is the solution to your problem right here. Just do this and you're going to be fine. But you all have been around long enough to know that's not the way the world works, right? You know that sometimes you've got to go through those hard places, and God lays it out and he says, Habakkuk, I hate to tell you this, but it's just going to get harder for a while. Because here's this new group of folks that are coming down around you and are surrounding you, and they are big and they are powerful. They laugh at kings and rulers who try to come up against them. They are trouble. But this is where God begins to help Habakkuk understand how to get through this, how to begin getting through this, because there's that great big but right in the middle of this, where God says, it's going to be hard, it's going to be difficult, you are going to struggle, it's going to be hard, but, this is verse 11, and when he says he's talking about, God is talking about the enemies. In this case, it's the Chaldeans. For us, it can be any number of different things. And he says, he passes through like the wind and invades, but he will be held guilty, the one whose strength is his God. Throughout Habakkuk, we see this is the kind of the beginning process where God lays out, he says, here's what you got to do. Because here's where they will fail. And by connection to that, it's also where we fail. When we try and go through those hard places and we try to rely on our own strength and on our own power, that's when we're going to fail, because we can get right down into the middle of that, into that lowest part of that dip, of that hard place, of that struggle. If we're relying on ourselves, it means we're probably going to be relying on the same things that we have always done that probably got us into trouble in the first place, or probably aren't going to get us out of it at least. But that's because we put our own faith, our own strength in ourselves. And God says, don't do that. That's where failure happens. Instead, put your strength in God. Put your strength and your faith in God. And we may still have to go through those hard times, but that is how we can persevere and come out onto the other side and eventually begin to make our way back up to the other side of that dip, as we put our faith and we rely on God. Now, as we go over the next several weeks, what we're going to see is in his conversations back and forth with God, God begins to tell Habakkuk, here's some things you can do to help you through that. To help you through that so that you can persevere through those things. And gives him some ways of being able to deal with it. We're going to look at what it is that Habakkuk is told in the middle of that to help him get through that rough place and that hard place. But for the first part of that this morning, where we're starting is just remembering to put our faith in God and rely on his strength and not ours. When we can rely on his strength, that means when we get to that hardest part, it may be we have to take a risk, but we might be able to do something different. Because we're relying on God to help us through there and not on ourselves alone. And we can find a way to persevere and to come out on that other side. And that's a message then that we can take out with a world that seems to be kind of going crazy around us at times and say, here's how we can begin to make our way through this trouble that we face.